Hello, everyone, and welcome here to the Beyond the Summit Overwatch Cup week number 2. My name is SolidJake, and I'm joined here with the one and only T-Squared.
What's going on, everybody? Yeah, SolidJake, today is going to be awesome. We have some great games coming up, and right here we have Cloud9 going up against Elevate. And Cloud9 ended up losing to TSM in the losers bracket finals there in the lower bracket finals in the previous cup. So they're definitely going to come out with a chip on their shoulder going out for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is going to be an intense first series. SodiPop, a team that's kind of on the up and up here for our first matchup, and they're going up against, I believe it's Liquid actually here.
Oh yeah, we do have Liquid. Sorry about that. We do have Liquid going up against these guys.
I'm a bit surprised to see, the squads coming out here this early. They have the map draft actually just about ready to start here. But yeah, SodiPop and Liquid, both of these teams, they did play in the first qualifier, if I'm not mistaken. We already have TSM and Envy earning their spot in the first week of the Beyond the Summit Overwatch Cup. But only 2 spots remain here for this week's event. Now, we'll be spanning for the course of today, all the way up into through the first round of winners or the second round of winners and the first round of losers. And then we'll close out the event tomorrow with 2 teams that will ultimately qualify for the top 4.
Yeah, getting in the top 4 is the biggest point here for these guys. They want to make sure that, they either win the winners bracket or the losers bracket finals. As long as they can secure that, they do have a chance. If they end up losing here, they can always end up coming back, and that's the big thing here. And what's interesting in this match here, when I look at Kefri's actually a really great up-and-coming sniper. I teamed with this guy in Halo 5 recently, up until 6 months ago. So he was always a really great sniper. The thing is, that's crazy about his point of view is that he plays on a really, really high sensitivity. So I think that I want to be looking for his screen most of this time. And also AZK is going to be someone that I'm looking out for on the other team as well. Always a fantastic player. And these 2 guys need to, essentially try to carry this, and individually try to step it up if they want to win.
Well, Hollywood will be our first map in this series. Kings Row and Dorado will be the other 2 maps eligible for the best of 3 based on the map draft that just went down. And, this should be a lot of fun to see this all play out here. Oh, they're actually saying Dorado. So excuse me, the way this works for this event is we do have those 3 maps, Kings Row, Dorado, and Hollywood as the 3 maps eligible, but they're calling for Dorado for the Game 1 map.
Yeah, and what are your predictions here for this series? What do you think this one's going to go? How do you think this one's going to go?
SodiPop has actually been on the up and up, I think, in a lot of ways. I mean, Kefri has been playing pretty well lately, but Liquid is definitely the favorite. I mean, Liquid had Dummy for a long time. I don't know if he's officially just being subbed in here or been swapped out. I haven't seen Liquid play in a couple weeks myself, to be honest. But from what I've seen in Liquid in the past, it's just hard to deny them that, just their presence here. Nomi, Dahang, and AZK, these guys are just absolute monsters.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking out for, SodiPop to try to just rally together here. There's really, they're going to have to play their best when it comes to taking down these guys because it's just such a strong team that's been together for a little bit longer than these guys. The other squad's a little bit thrown together. They've kind of been trying to feel it out, and they're really going to have to just put everything together here, maybe even come out with a little bit of a cheese here. But I think everybody on Liquid is going to know, what players play, what specific heroes these guys are playing. So someone's going to have to really step it up and bring out something they haven't shown before.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, too, because we do have SodiPop starting out on the offense here for Dorado. And, I see Kefri playing a lot of Widow. I think we will see him playing more McCree today in this patch, just in general. I know he's like the Widow in the past, but Widow's very much out of the meta right now.
I think that Widow's definitely situational. I think McCree fits just in better situations and is just more versatile.
Exactly.
Widow's great for getting clips and trying to carry, and maybe not when you're playing with your full team, but when you actually want to, fit in and do damage and try to be that overall player and try to just cut off. It's really just about cutting off angles and really just holding down certain parts of the map and just controlling as much as you can and trying to get these people to come through these choke points. So as long as you're doing that, I think that McCree at this point and after the patch definitely can do a better job than Widowmaker.
Yeah, and McCree isn't as easily shut down as Widow is from the D.Va. Once a Widow has a D.Va in her face, it's pretty tough to actually do anything. You just kind of die because D.Va's Very tough for her to deal with. Even just trying to use a grapple to escape doesn't work out too well. But looks like on the defense side of things here, on the side of Liquid, pretty standard composition. This has become almost like the neutral defense comp. Once in a while, you'll see something odd like a Junkrat replacing maybe the Reaper. Occasionally, you'll try to see a Symmetra worked in there. But nope, just playing it safe here on the side of Liquid.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see what these guys on SodiPop are going to pick. Looks like they're trolling a little bit. I don't, the Toadgorn, it could stay. It's interesting to see Kefri, though, on the D.Va, though. If he's going to play D.Va, that would be really interesting. That doesn't seem like his type of play style, but yeah, I have no idea what it's going to be.
Yeah, all right, well, Kefri going to be rocking that D.Va after all. All right, well, they're walking out of the gates, just getting in there. Getting in position. The setup right now is just about the high ground. You're going to just see the Liquid patiently waiting, going down to the choke point. Excuse me, SodiPop going down to the choke point and waiting for Liquid to make their approach. And pretty standard stuff. Who's going to be flanking, though? Going to have to see if ID is going to be the one going around the back trying to get the flank.
Yeah, and this is why the D.Va Reinhardt combo is so great. You just start off with the D.Va shield, and then once that's depleted, then you just go on over to the Reinhardt shield, and you can just go back and forth, just communicate with your teammates on exactly where you want to go. So really like the synergy and the composition that we're seeing right here.
Wow, look how clean that push was, though. Liquid just kind of pushes everyone back. They force everyone from SodiPop to just disengage. It's not that they took heavy losses or anything. It was just Liquid having a superior presence, great coverage with both of the tanks. So Messer and Kefri really just zoning everyone out. And that first point was grabbed with quite ease.
Yeah, and they're in a really great position just to continue to push this one. And I love just the overall positioning that these guys are taking. They also have the edge when it comes to, just be able to bait the other team out, and it looks like Kefri's going to take really great advantage of that here on this D.Va, and is just continuing to work with his team, just kind of continue to put in shots and then also back up. So I love the fact that they're not necessarily overextending, because you see a lot of people in that type of situation, whether it's D.Va flying around the corner, or just a Pharah that flies into the air and just ends up getting picked. You can't afford in this tournament situation to just give up a free death, and I love to see how they're just playing this one almost to perfection.
Yeah, all right. Well, on the side of the defense, they really just have that transcendence for SodiPop. And Liquid, they have their Deadeye available here, but AZK taking a lot of pressure, forced back, but does have the Reinhardt in the front. Transcendence now used on the defense side for SodiPop just to try to hold on, but that seems a bit preemptive. And the Earth Shatter does go out. Deadeye behind that for AZK, but the flashbang goes in, stunning that out. Messer on the side throws out a Fire Strike, only hitting the pole there, so not quite getting the value he was looking for.
Yeah, that was a really nice Earth Shatter here, and there goes D.Va with her ultimate as well. So the ultimates still are coming out for the other side too. So there goes double sound barriers popped, and just constant back and forth here from both teams. It's an absolute brawl.
All right, Kefri trying to zone the Reaper into the backside, but they're being pushed out. SodiPop with a really nice hold. Like you mentioned, the double sound barriers in this turn actually was a little bit favorable there for the defense. So they're going to be hold on, stop that payload right at the corner under the bridge, and that's a very defensible position considering they can get to the high ground of the bridge.
Yeah, and Nami ends up having this Earth Shatter again available, but you do have double ults coming out from the other side. So AZK does have his Deadeye available. You do have Reaper with his ultimate too. So really, it's just going to be up to this Reinhardt, in my opinion, to get really good positioning and just try to land a really nice ult. So there it is right there. Really nice shield coming out right when the High Noon came out.
All right, the bomb did go in, just trying to buy some space. We do see Messer with the charge onto Hype, pinning that D.Va, but not quite getting the mech down. So although it looked like a decent assault with Messer using that charge down into the back phase, really just kind of forced them off the point, and unfortunately, they didn't get much push at all.
Yeah, the defense is holding pretty well here. They're continuing to push this payload, and they do have the height advantage too at the same time. So I really like how the McCree set up here behind the shield, and it looks like everyone though is flanking for the other side. So there's probably just communicating with each other, trying to decide which exactly way they want to push. Maybe trying to get around the corner to see exactly where everybody is on the enemy team. So here comes the push.
Oh yeah, ID stepping right on in, who does find the defense matrix, but D.Va charging forward. Kafri trying to just buy the space for the team to engage up on this bridge. And Kafri will end up losing her mech with Discord Orb, actually will just about go down. So that's not really ideal to lose your D.Va so early. Both transcendences have been used in this fight. Nomi trying to trade out there, but charging back, getting a bit secluded from his team, and Messer charging right in, does get the kill on Agilities. So that's going to be a nice pickup for the side of Team Liquid. But Messer all by himself right now. It's not enough for the team to actually get any push whatsoever. Actually, the payload has only gone back at this point in time.
Yeah, the defense did a really great job there. I was looking at Grim Reality and he used his Deadeye, but it was blocked perfectly by the shield. Everybody kind of used their ults there, but when it was all said and done, the positioning was just too great there. And Grim Reality had a really nice job positioning on that. McCree was just constantly laying down fire from the top. And all in all, you know, the defense prevails.
Okay, well, on the side of Team Liquid, they do have that Death Blossom available, but beyond that, they don't have a whole lot of engage. Kafri has moved from D.Va over to Zarya, and that's going to give them the Graviton Surge, a little bit more engage potential that they're realizing that they need desperately, but it's a long ways away. Sound Barrier now available there for the offense, but the defense has way more ultimates. They have the Earth Shatter, they do have the Self-Destruct there with D.Va, and we do see one member going down on either side, the Self-Destruct now being cast in the middle. Great shield from Messer, and then the Earth Shatter coming out from Nomi, charging him into place. They do get the double kill there as Messer does in the falling, and once again, SodiPop will hold the point.
Yeah, it's going to be so hard, you know, for these guys to push out because they don't have, you know, much ults coming out besides AZK and then the Reaper ult also. So Kafri kind of switching back and forth, not necessarily knowing who he wants to play. And it's interesting to see picking up these unconventional heroes that he's not really used to playing. You know, typically we were expecting the McCree coming out or the Widowmaker, but he's not necessarily that type of main slayer that he's typically doing. He's kind of playing what the meta heroes are and what needs to typically fill in. So it seems like that's going to be their strategy at this point, and there goes the Sound Barrier at the same time.
ID looking for the Death Blossom, but getting absolutely nothing, and Grim Reality picks him up with ease. Still has the Deadeye available in the back, but Messer with the Discord Orb falls very quickly, and Kafri all by himself will end up going down as well. SodiPop just looks unbreakable right now.
Yeah, and I love the way Grim Reality's playing this one. Like you said, he still does have that Deadeye available. He's just constantly going back here and setting up. And they probably have maybe one or two more pushes here, but it's not looking too good here because you also have Nami coming up with that ultimate as well. So, you know, when it comes to the ultimate side, it's not looking too good for Liquid. I would be really surprised if they were able to take this one.
Now, this is a double elimination bracket, but right now Liquid needs to get their things together. AZK looking for the Deadeye with the shield in the front, but actually they all just back away into the hall. So every single person walks away. Deadeye will go down to 50% for the offense. And in terms of the ultimates that they have available, well, it's really just the Earth Shatter right now. And they don't have the follow-up that they need, so that's not the most convincing setup for them. Now, with Hype already spinning the Transcendence, they wait for it to go down. The charge goes in, and Messer will pick up the one kill, but ends up falling at the same time. The defensive Earth Shatter now used from Nomi, and that's going to be a cleaned up Liquid. I don't think they can get on this point.
Nobody is on Grim Reality. Did you see that? He comes out, lays the Deadeye right onto Menstrual, just drops down right where the Zenyatta ult was from Hype, and just continued to clean up everybody. Then all of a sudden there was an Earth Shatter. He's over there and nobody's looking at him. He just continued to lay down damage. That had to be the play of the game.
Yeah, I think it would be as well. But it's just like, how does Liquid let the McCree go unattended to in that situation? It just seems like a really bad idea. McCree is kind of the guy to beat right now. And that's why you see so many divas. Diva's great at shutting down McCree. She's great at shutting down Pharah and many, you know, Widowmaker, a number of people. But, you know, when you go for Zarya, you go for the double engage of Zarya and Reinhardt, you kind of need to get those hard engages, and I couldn't seem to find them.
Yeah, and we saw Kefri on that diva beforehand. We thought that maybe he was going to play it. They got to that first checkpoint very quickly, but then they couldn't shut down Grim Reality. He was just sitting up there. Nobody was shooting him the entire time, and you were expecting maybe AZK to come out here. We weren't even talking about Grim Reality beforehand, but he was definitely going in. And, you know, I'm curious to see what the plan is going to be for defense here for the side of Team Liquid, because SodiPop looking really, really strong. And that wasn't really expected for me. They came out really hot.
I agree. They really they looked absolutely clean. They never made unnecessary risks. They just kind of stuck to their plan. The tanks had phenomenal coverage in every single scenario with the Reinhardt shield or the Diva defense matrix. And Liquid, they're now on the defense. So Kafri is actually on that Widowmaker right now. we'll see how that works out. We actually see the Roadhog and Widow swap happening. So this is not the standard defense that you would expect to see here on Dorado, especially at the start of the map.
Definitely not.
I'm excited though.
Yeah, this is interesting. We were talking about, is Kefri going to go back and play sniper? Like I was saying, in Halo 5, he was a fantastic sniper. Played on the highest sensitivity that you could potentially play, 10 sensitivity in Halo 5. And no one ever played that. It was just way too fast. So, there he goes, getting a pick right in the beginning. And that's what we were talking about, getting those picks, not being the first death. It's really important.
Yeah. Well, yeah, obviously the word is out that Widow is in fact here on the defense after they do in fact lose their Zenyatta, and they do have eyes on the location. So it's going to be on McCree behind that Reinhardt shield to try to poke her down. Kafri's going to be in a safe spot, but again, this is flankable. So agility's on Genji, can try to go over the wall, get that Widow back from the backside. There actually is a trap there put by the Widowmaker to alert her if the Genji does come around, and he is actually looking for that flank right now.
Yeah, you called it. He's over there. The trap was triggered exactly when Genji came over there. So perfect trap from Kefri, gets the intel, and Genji has to back down from that. So Agility is going back and redoing what he was doing before and coming in for the flank. Let's see if this pays off for him. Nice little sniper from Kefri does hit.
Yeah, ID actually did manage to get the hook, but not quite pulling him over the wall, unfortunately. And now Agility's coming from the backside. The Earthshatter was spent, but Nomi still has that shield up. Discord applied to him, but able to stand strong against ID there on the Roadhog in the front. But this is a good push so far. SodiPop has actually gotten behind everyone there on the side of Liquid, back to the payload, covering on every side. Nomi's going to be charging deep, doesn't quite connect with the charge, but Agility's taking out Capri. And right now, Minstrel is just trying to do his best to make sure he can contest this with his Reinhardt. Transcendence used in desperation there from Dehang, just trying to get on there. The race car Zenyatta keeping everyone topped off, and AZK needs to get the kills right now to stop this push at the first payload. But the sound barrier coming down from Lucio to help this push there for SodiPop. They're all there. Just Minstrel dancing around the payload, stalling it from being pushed onto the point, but he's all by himself, and that's going to be the first point collected for SodiPop.
Yeah, like you said, that was the desperation Zenyatta going in there, and Kefri backed off. So even though it was a decent push and everyone was doing whatever they could on Liquid to try to hold this one, I just think that maybe they should have potentially given that one up. But their mindset is we got to go, and we didn't do so hot on offense. Maybe we could hold these guys here at this checkpoint. So like you said, maybe they're getting a little bit desperate, using things that they wouldn't typically use when they could have just backed off in that scenario.
Alrighty, well, this is like the last pathway essentially here for SodiPop to be able to take the map, considering how far Liquid got in the last one. The Deadeye from AZK from above actually not hitting anything, but it did force them back a little bit. Now we have the Deadeye coming out once again, this time from Grim Reality, picked up the 1 kill on ID, but Capri in the hallway takes out Grim Reality, so now that McCree on the offense is down.
Yeah, and AZK is going to have to do what Grim Reality did last time, shutting him down here. So Grim Reality, completely going off on defense last time, and AZK not able to do so.
Oh, but Nomi with a nice Earthshatter onto Messer, and then the charge to finish him off. Minstrel goes down as well, so that's a double kill here for SodiPop, getting a lot of pressure on the map. Kafri in the back there on the Widowmaker, trying to find the snipes, does get hyped, so it's a good start. Again, Transcendence coming in from Dehang just to get in position and enable them to push in far. Actually, ID has swapped over to the Winston as well, just to make sure they can get on the point quickly and deny that from being captured, because the payload is very, very close to completing.
Yeah, it's not looking too good here for Liquid. I mean, SodiPop's definitely looking pretty strong on offense as they were on defense. And keep in mind, Kefri is playing this Widowmaker, so his ultimate, not even close to coming up. And it's not really that useful in this type of scenario. It would be much easier to have, the Zarya Graviton Surge or the Sound Barrier that Lucio just popped.
Yeah, Sound Barrier has been cast here. Kafri running away from the Genji, who was hot on his skates, and Agilities isn't stopping quite yet. But Kafri is being a bit elusive in the back. Messer trying his best to hold on. And Liquid seems to be doing a pretty good job, but the Graviton Surge comes in with the Transcendence there on the offense, and SodiPop is pushing on in to hang very low. No Transcendence for him, does go down. Is anyone alive on Liquid? It's just ID on the Winston, and he is nowhere in sight. GG.
Yeah, and just the ultimate's just the team composition for SodiPop is just, superior at that point than Liquid, because you have Kefri over here, and here is the play of the match. This is exactly what we're talking about. Look how nasty this was. Oh,
just leaving him alone. Flashbang goes out, big Graviton Surge, and man, he doesn't even need the Deadeye, but he's just gonna style on them, isn't he?
The end of both games, Grim Reality just going off, and that just goes to show his positioning was great, and also the synergy between the team for SodiPop was just far superior, and that's why we see them taking Dorado.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just the power of hit-scan players in general, right? They can just absolutely tear people apart. And it seemed like Liquid just couldn't deal with him. He stayed alive way too frequently. The Zarya bubbles were well placed when they were there. And that Transcendence and Graviton Surge just enabling for those big plays to happen at the end.
Yeah, and keep in mind that this is a best of 3 at the same time. So every game, really matters. This isn't a best of 5. So, going down 1-0, definitely not what you want to do. You want to come out strong here. And, if you asked me what my predictions were beforehand, I definitely wouldn't say that was how, Dorado was going to end up going.
Yeah, and Liquid's going to be taking us to Kings Row for the second map. With SodiPop currently up 1-0. Really, really great start there on the side of SodiPop, but it looks like Liquid will be opting to start on the defense once again. So they're just going to see, how, actually, no, just swapping it around. So this time they will be going for defense at the start. I'm curious if they're going to do anything weird with this, because we saw that Widowmaker, but I don't know if it really worked out that well. How do you feel about it?
I would probably like to see, like you were saying, more McCree, maybe, definitely. It was so weird. We saw so many different heroes coming out, and we saw it was, Diva all the way to Widowmaker, all the way to Zarya. So those are just 3 completely different play styles. So it's interesting to see, what they're going to go with. I would like to see, we see Grim Reality sticks with McCree and just dominates it through the entire time. I really think this is the time, if anything, to either bust out the cheese, like you're saying, and do really well with it, or just really stick with what your guns are here, play with what you're best at. And that's the problem when you're just, a Widowmaker main, is that she's just really not in the meta right now, and she's just really not as strong. She's definitely strong. She's definitely situational, but I don't know if that was the exact situation to use her in.
Well, we are seeing one of those cool situations here for the offense where, I actually would love to see Hyped pick up the Junkrat. I mean, this composition that they're hovering, they're not necessarily committed to it yet, but Junkrat can work really well here just because if you think about the hotel, it's a very small room. You just lob the grenades in. You can lob those grenades over the wall for a lot of safe pressure, build up those ultimates. The Riptire can absolutely dismantle them if you can catch them off guard running that through the hotel. There's a lot of great pressure he can provide, but we will definitely have the Junkrat here on the side of ID. And this means they're running a single tank composition, which is very much uncommon on defense in general here for Kings Row.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the double, tank composition here, but I'm also, like you were saying, Junkrat coming out for both teams. I think Junkrat does some serious damage here. He's also really capable of, just lobbing, the grenades, like you were saying, all the way over there. So really, it's just going to be, who's going to be able to have the better Junkrat, in my opinion, at this point, because we do only see Reinhardt coming out for both sides. So, interesting to see who's gonna step it up here. But we do see Grim Reality again on this McCree, and he's just sitting here in the back again with just perfect positioning. So they're just really easily being able to push here through the checkpoint and just or the choke point and just continue to push on the point. So
yeah. Messer took a lot of damage there, unnecessary damage, not having a shield up just because of the huge pressure going through, and he goes down very quickly. So no Reinhardt, no tank there on the defense of Liquid, but Liquid fighting back, AZK picking up some nice kills, forcing Nomi to retreat, and they will be able to hold the point for now. So really good job just kind of backing into the corner, making sure they were safe. Even after losing their tank, they were able to snap back on. And we do not have any swaps happening just yet, as they are confident with their composition. Yeah. I'm actually really curious to see how Agilities will do on this map, though.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to swap because your ultimates, are going to potentially be building up here. And as we were saying, before, the Widowmaker doesn't, an ultimate to bring to the table. Meanwhile, you were saying the Junkrat tire does serious damage. So Hype picking up one as well, but does go down to AZK. Grim Reality taking that trap down again. And I just love the way that he's playing, this whole series so far. He's just constantly sitting in the back. And I've been playing a little bit more McCree. I think that he's kind of someone that fits my play style. And a lot of people were talking about how he's, not as strong after the patch and all these other things. But I think that, in my opinion, he could be the most well-rounded offensive hero. So let's see what we can do with this Deadeye.
All right, a big engage. AZK goes down from the Deadeye of Grim Reality, and ID is also going to end up falling here. The Transcendence enabling just so much pressure here on the side of SodiPop, but the charge in onto that Zenyatta does absolutely nothing due to Transcendence still being up. Messer now a bit collapsed upon as Nomi's going to count on the sound barrier to continue the defense here of Team Liquid. Nomi a bit in a weird spot, but the orb has been just giving him so much healing, and Agilities has been going uncontested the entire fight, and it looks like SodiPop has broken Team Liquid.
Yeah, that was a really nice job of just, using your team composition and just, perfectly executing that one. There was really nothing Liquid could do. They didn't, have much of an advantage here, and they're just going to be able to continue to push this one with Reinhardt. So, didn't see any switches coming out from the side of Liquid. Looks like they're going to stick with what they got as well. So, both teams confident in their compositions.
Yeah, not a bad start for Liquid, though. I mean, they held on for a good amount of time. They're just going to look to just kind of mount a small defense here. They have the high ground, but oftentimes you don't want to push out, because it's a little bit risky here past the Fox and the Bear pub.
Yeah, and here comes the defense of Liquid here. They're gonna, try to get these guys in the checkpoint. And I'm on board with Dehang right now. He's just sitting back on the Zenyatta. And there's a nice Earth Shatter though coming out, and people on Liquid are just dropping like flies. Really nice offensive push here. That payload is definitely going to continue to go.
Yeah, Agilities once again not being responded to here. We've been talking a lot in this series about Grim Reality on that McCree, but honestly, like in that fight, Agility just kind of went to town. You mentioned a massive Earth Shatter that laid on them. They had people coming from every single direction from the top hallway on the stairs. We had Hype there just lobbing grenades in left and right, and it just looked like Liquid had no idea where to respond, and a lot of that was due to just having that single tank. The single Reinhardt can't cover 3 different directions.
Right, and we were talking about Grim Reality on McCree, but we were saying Agilities, you can't get in those positions on McCree if you don't have Agilities going in with the Genji and creating the opportunities that you need. So, the timing is just looking so solid for SodiPop, the synergy, everything just kind of falling into place for them.
All right, Transcendence use here on the offense. High Noon in the back. Will it get anyone? It looks like a no. Earth Shatter completely blocked there from Messer, which is great. And the flashbang onto Nomi, but that's going to enable Genji to go down once again. We see Agilities picking up a double kill. Nomi picks up the single kill on Dehang. And right now, SodiPop is looking to keep this going. Agilities on the retreat, grab the health pack, climbing up with the Zarya bubble, going to be able to get out of that. And now we do see Lucio getting pulled on in there, just absolutely evaporates. This could actually be the map if they can push them off.
Yeah, that has to be it, because there's no ults coming out for the side of Liquid besides Caffrey. If he can get an amazing death blow, chance to use it.
The time has been set, 4:38. That is a very quick time from SodiPop.
Yeah, I mean, once that payload got going, they're just able to push it continuously. I mean, getting to that first checkpoint and getting that first, portion, maybe I would say even took 2 minutes, wouldn't you say? Probably half the time. So, once they were able to get into that escort mode, there was just no stopping them. Just perfect synergy coming out from the Genji, coming out from the McCree at the same time. Grim Reality and Agility's just playing so well.
Yeah, really, really excellent start. 4:38. Liquid's going to have to beat it. If they have any, tricks up their sleeve, this is the time for them to bust it out, because they're already down 0-1 in this series, and it's a best of 3. Now, once again, this is a double elimination tournament, so they wouldn't be done for the entire event necessarily. But obviously, if you can avoid dropping into the losers bracket, you want to pull out everything you can.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is a must win for them. They have to, take this one right here. Otherwise, they are going to go down. And that's the last thing that you want to do, is come out and not even be able to take a map, because, you have to come out and have some sort of momentum in this type of spot. And SodiPop just looks so strong. Their momentum is just so good that if you don't come out and, contest this, beginning part of the map, and you don't go in there and maybe get shut down and allow them to build up their ultimates, they're just going to ride this one and end up winning the series 2-0. So if there was any time for them to step up and play their best, it's definitely now.
All right, well, right now on the defense side here, looks like it's going to be, pretty much a standard composition based on what you would expect to see. They're not trying anything cheeky on the side of SodiPop. They're just going to what is tried and true, having that double tank, and of course being able to cover the flanks. Kafri is once again going for the Widowmaker, but it's going to be difficult considering that D.Va can find those windows of charge on in with their jet boost and punish her accordingly. But Liquid going around the statue, trying to find their position for their engage.
Yeah, Liquid just being careful with this one. They need to have a really good opening push. Grim Reality, again, just sitting in the back. No one's really on him. He's just laying down constant damage. Gets the first pick onto Mezzer, and that should open up the rest of the map, and they should be able to charge this one. Someone does flank there, and Grim Reality and Agility's turning around and getting those picks at the same time. So really nice communication, and that push gets shut down.
Yeah, pretty convincingly. And Grim Reality already up to 60% on the meter for that Deadeye. He's just been popping off in this game. Behind that Reinhardt shield, tried and true status. Kafrey trying to snipe from above, just with a nice perch right now, looking for those windows. They've actually secluded the Zenyatta at this point in time. That is a good small win. So they can force Zenyatta to go all the way back. Kafrey very low in the back, needs that orb. We'll get that from Dehang. And they've cornered them once more, but they need to make sure they get in front with that tank to try to punish them. Get that. AZK needs to pick up the kills right now. But the flashbang going in, AZK has to roll back. Deadeye coming from the side, going to look for any kills they can get. And we do see AZK will end up picking up one. Hype going to go in and take out Messer. Transcendence now used from Dehang to try to keep Liquid standing, try to keep them pushing here. But there's the sound barrier on the side of SodiPop holding them strong.
Yeah, that was a really nice job blocking, the Deadeye with the shield there coming out from Mezzer. So it looks like they are going to be able to, hold this one for a little bit, and Grim Reality has to walk all the way back here as well as Agility. So it looks like they're not going to be able to hold this one. So really nice job from Liquid. This is exactly what they needed, but they don't have much time to push that because the time from SodiPop before was 4:38. So that's a hard one to beat.
Yeah. It's going to be, they need to just keep the payload moving, but really well done by Messer there regardless. That means Earthshatter is on cooldown for a while. And they don't necessarily have the hard engage of an Earthshatter or a Grafton Surge right now, but at least they do have Hype with the self-destruct. And the self-destruct could buy them the windows they need. Kafrey is just straight up choreographing his location right now, and you notice D.Va is looking to respond to that.
Yeah, interesting, to see that SodiPop sticks with their same composition. They're confident. Something cheesier like a May or anything like that to try to hold for time.
All right, the Grafton Surge has been casted. The self-destruct coming from above, but the shield is up. Hype actually ends up getting Kafrey. So just the one target going down. ID still standing strong. Liquid with a really strong engage.
Yeah, and maybe they should have had something like a May there or something like that, just to try to, like I said, it's situational, maybe hold for time. But they have been doing so well this series, they're probably not even thinking about that. We know the exact time. I'm not sure, if they're even thinking about that at this given point in time. So curious to see if they're going to, potentially switch up for this last checkpoint, because Liquid, I think, is going to be able to continue to push this one.
Oh, but a nice Earthshatter to enable a couple kills here on the side of Liquid. Kafrey needs to pop off right now. They're all retreating. Hype loses mech. Hype does go down to AZK. Jared is trying to stay alive. The payload has been picked up, but Liquid needs to keep the ball rolling because they are very low on time.
Yeah, I mean, they probably only have about a minute and 20 seconds or so remaining. So, they're going to have to step it up right now, and they don't really have anything besides the Deadeye. They do have the Graviton Surge coming out, pretty shortly. So they're going to have to maybe combo that, but AZK's Deadeye does go down. Mezzer is trying to push this one with the shield, so it's not looking too good here for the side of Liquid. The sound barrier is popped there at the same time, so the defense is going to prevail here, and this is not what you want to see if you're Liquid.
Oh, no, not at all what you want to see. There was a nice flashbang that looked like it stopped the charge of Reinhardt, but with the speed boost going in, Nomi just cleaving everything in his path and all the damage behind him. A cleanup there from SodiPop. Nomi is now hiding behind, using the Earthshatter from behind. Dehang will go down very quickly in this fight. You see Agility is now popping that Dragon Blade, is just going to town on everyone. Jer is in the front, giving him the speed boost. Liquid trying to be cheeky around the back, but ID will fall very quickly. And this might have been everything left in Liquid's basket.
Yeah, it's
20 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, it's becoming desperation mode at this point. I mean, you have to just constantly charge, but you do have two people dead, and you see AZK over there switching to Tracer. So, mathematically, maybe impossible for these guys to push this one. I think that is going to be, almost over here, because I think that, it is going to be mathematically over. That it looks like that is going to be it, and Team Liquid is going to fall down to the lower bracket.
Well played from SodiPop, in my opinion. Definitely an upset. They've been on the up and up, but just going so cleanly over Team Liquid in that series for the first match of the day. I did not expect that.
I wasn't expecting that at all, but Grim Reality and Agilities, those guys just really stepped it up. You saw the Genji constantly. You saw Grim Reality on the McCree, perfect tank play coming out from Nami. So overall, these guys really just put it together. I think that they, did a great job of drafting. I think that they did a great job of playing situational. And then you saw Team Liquid kind of scrounging there and, used their ultimates maybe when they shouldn't have, or were in desperation mode a lot more than they probably thought they were going to be in that series.
Right. Yeah. And it was tough. I mean, they tried some unique compositions. They were really trying to make the Widowmaker work. And there were a few moments where they're, getting the snipe on the Zenyatta, which is nice, but it's just tough to say whether or not that's going to be more valuable than a McCree or a Reaper that can go in the back, or even a Genji, because Agilities was on that Genji so much in that series.
Mm-hmm.
And Agilities just went to town, not even just with the Dragon Blade, but he was able to really just kind of force them to respond to the flanks. And Liquid was never really looking for cheeky flanks at all in that series.
No, they weren't. And you called it right beforehand. You were talking. We want to see McCree come out. Grim Reality definitely played the better McCree over AZK, but we weren't talking about a Genji. We weren't talking about Agilities. And he did such a good job of getting onto the back line that there was nothing that Liquid could do. They weren't looking for him. And because of that, that opened up the rest of the map. We did see that nice trap coming down from Kefri, kind of predicting where the Genji would come, but he just came right back and just took the same exact route and said, hey, whatever, I don't care if you knew that we were doing that, because I communicated to my team, we're going to push back out and do the same exact thing. And they just continued to do the same strategy, and there was nothing that Team Liquid could do about it.
Yeah, well, they're going to have to make some adjustments for their next match later today in the lower bracket. But that means it's going to be SodiPop moving on forward into the round 2 of the winners bracket. And for our next match today, it's going to be Cloud9 versus Elevate. What do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I originally thought that we were starting the day with, so that was my fault. I wanted to see if Cloud9 could bounce back after losing to TSM in the lower bracket from the previous cup. So they looked so strong when I went to the esports tournament. They ended up winning, the Agents Rising tournament over there. Got to talk with the guys, and they were having a great time hanging out and drinking beers. We were super confident beforehand, and I'm sure they were super confident in the previous cup. So I think that they're going to come out here, and it's going to be a really tough match for Elevate. But if it goes the way that the Liquid series thought, then who knows, maybe Elevate could walk away with this one and upset Cloud9.
Yeah, Elevate's been having much better results recently than they had in the past. And Cloud9, who was like a top 2 NA team, has kind of fallen into like a top 4 NA team. So it's definitely going to be really interesting to see if Elevate is able to step it up enough to be able to trump Cloud9.
Yeah, only time will tell here. And, we saw kind of what the meta is, and do think McCree is going to continue to be strong. So it's funny because I started spamming McCree, but started losing points in my competitive rank. So maybe if I could pick up a couple pointers here and watch these guys play, maybe I can rank up a little bit more, because Grim Reality's play was amazing. I think we saw some inspiring Genji play. Makes me want to kind of go and pick up Genji at the same time. My cat's name's Genji, so I think that I need to eventually somehow get better with Genji.
So as an ex TF or as an ex Halo pro, do you lean towards a lot of McCree or 76, or who do you play the most?
I feel really comfortable on almost every single hero that I play, and I think that's what's so great about this game. I feel like if I was to just continue to put time into whatever hero it is, that I can enjoy my experience. Some obviously harder than the others, and like you were saying, coming from a FPS background, I think that obviously Soldier 76 feels very comfortable. He's in the tutorial, so you just go in there, you just play the game for the first time, and it just feels really natural for someone coming from that sort of background. But yeah, I mean, playing all of the offensive heroes, I think definitely really come naturally. I think the biggest thing for me is just really learning a really good support and learning a really good tank. I picked up Reinhardt and things like that too, but I want to be able to, now that ranks out, just have a wide variety of different heroes. And I think that that's probably my weakness right now at the same time.
Oh, very, very cool.
Who do you play? Guys, who do you spam? I'm curious though. I'm curious before we go to break.
Who do I spam?
Yeah, and guys in the chat, I want you guys to let us know that who you think is the strongest too at the same time, because we're all thinking McCree is still strong.
Oh yeah, he's definitely a monster. You know, pre this patch, I was playing a ton of Pharah, but since then I've been playing a lot of Genji myself, and a good bit of Lucio if I'm on payload maps, and Zenyatta whenever possible. I like a lot of the supports. When it comes to tanks, I tend to play the Diva as much as possible for myself. But yeah, let us know in the chat what heroes you guys play the most, or who you think the best heroes in the game are right now, as the balance is shifting things quite actively. Ana just got another big buff, and while we haven't seen her in today's event, but I think we will throughout the day as we have many more matches to come. Coming up next, we'll be having Cloud9 versus Elevate, but we're going to throw to a quick commercial break as we set that up. Stay tuned.